Hey guys, what's going on? Steven back again, and I'm back with another 40k video from Major Kill. And the topic for today's video is the most heinous atrocity committed by each faction. Oof. Now, down below, the play bar is broken up into sections. 3 of those sections are longer than all the others. I'm guessing those are probably going to be like the juiciest stories and require more explanation. Now, not the first one, because that is the intro, but the second one, the fourth one, and the last one. The last one could be a bit of a trick because it is also probably combined with his outro and stuff like that. But if I had to guess for those 3 segments, I would probably guess Dark Eldar, but I think that'd be a little bit too on the nose because no matter what Dark Eldar do, it's pretty much a heinous atrocity anyways. I want to say also Chaos, but I think that'd be like another duh, obviously. But then the last one I would guess would be the Imperium. That's my guess, the Imperium, Dark Eldar, and Chaos. I hope I'm wrong. I hope there's like a little twist. I hope it's like Orcs, Tau, and Eldar or something like that. You know, just a little curveball, you know. I don't know. We'll see if I'm right. But anyways, before we get into the video, come join me over on Discord. We can talk more 40k. You can post pictures of models you're painting and stuff like that. What are you working on? You know, we can just generally chat more 40k overall. And you can suggest videos for me to watch, because I'd always love to get more recommendations on, oh, check out this video, check out that video, you know, check out this channel and stuff like that. So come join me over on Discord. Link in the description box below. Alright, so let's get on to the video. Here we go.
G'day guys and gal. Although the saying, there are no good guys in Warhammer 40k, is really stupid and has been debunked many times, that doesn't mean that even the nicest factions haven't partaken in their share of atrocities. Whether it be genocide against their enemies, extreme level of war crimes to achieve victory, or something selfish
I'm sure everyone's committed war crimes no matter what.
Even the best boys have been naughty from time to time. But that begged the question, what was actually the worst atrocity committed? What was the worst thing each faction has actually done? Before we get started, I've read your messages and heard your pleas. I've heard the, Major Kill, I'm getting paid next week. Can you please extend the KG Taurus Cyber Dynasty sale? So after chatting with Dungeons and Dreadnoughts, they agreed to allow me to do a 48-hour restock that is available now. For those that have been living under a rock, I recently got the exclusive production and sale license of an entire Cyber Dynasty army.
I like those guys.
Modular models, including the Cyber Samurai in both Assault and Marksman variants, a
Those are
Cyber
pretty
Overseer to lead them, Cyber Ashigari
that
warriors
one
with
looked
a
really
plethora of
cool.
weapons, the War Mech, a multiple weapon
I do like the
variant
paint
battle suit,
scheme too.
3 drone warriors as well as 5 war drones to accompany them, and also a Cyber Skimmer to add a vehicle to the lineup. We are also selling upgrade packs for both the Cyber Samurai and Ashigaru, in case you wanted more of the special.
What is it, like a mixture of like Tau meets Gundam?
You can buy each unit separately, or for a large discount you can pick up the value bundles, including a bundle that has every single product in it. This is the last 48 hours. I'm not going to pull another Houdini and just keep bringing it back a week later. This is it. Link in description below. Today we'll go over the worst atrocity that each faction has committed, describing why it was so bad and why they did it.
Alright, so who's the first one? Here we go.
The scale of an atrocity is hard to quantify. If you skin 1 million babies and then beat their mothers to death with the still living flayed babies, is that more of an atrocity than nuking a world and killing 100 million people? 50 times more people die in the nuclear fire, but most people would probably say that the baby thing is a bigger atrocity. There's an element of malice and sadism that plays a part. So with that in mind, it should help us determine which atrocity the Imperium of Men has committed is the worst.
Okay, so we got one.
Fuck me, they've committed a lot.
The Imperium.
See, whilst they have exterminated a lot of worlds, 99% of the time, it was because there was no other option. As much as the memes like to say, the Imperium doesn't just exterminate shit for the lols. At least not most of the time. During the Great Crusade, only a select few ships were allowed to carry Exterminatus tier ordnance on board, and it was a big deal when it was used. Sure, Inquisitor Cryptman exterminating a bunch of Imperial worlds to slow down the Tyranids was horrific, but it was actually a good idea. Those worlds were fucked anyways, so either deny their biomass to the Nids, or let the Nids gorge themselves and become become more powerful. So I wouldn't
kinda
call
like a
his string of
grayish
apocalypses as a
area.
terrible atrocity. The xenocide of various alien races was also pretty bad.
That's another thing I gotta learn, the xenocides. I keep hearing it, but I haven't found anything to learn more about it. I hear it all the time in like a lot of these videos, like, oh yeah, during the xenocide, this happened and this happened. But I want to find like a lore video to explain what is the xenocides and what was it, the Rangdan, whatever it's called, Rangdan. I don't know, I gotta find more videos
But in
on
many
it.
cases, the aliens were very hostile, and the Imperium was either conquering new territory or getting revenge for the aliens' hostility during the Age of Strife. In some cases, peaceful Xeno races were spared and turned into vassal or client states.
Oh.
No, the worst atrocity the Imperium has ever committed was the deliberate infection of a populated Imperial world with the Gene Stealers in order to study them, resulting in the world's infection and then their subsequent deaths as the Gene Stealer cults got out of control and the world had to be exterminatus. The kicker is that the Inquisition deliberately infected one of its own via her getting raped in order to then extract her and study her. The loss of the world was incredibly unnecessary and stupid.
Wow.
They could have done much more controlled experiments or just studied one of the worlds that they already knew to be infected,
Now,
rather than
okay, so the Inquisitors I mean, I guess Inquisitors don't really have to report to anyone, but it's so hard. It's like, did they just do this, like, it is so hard to say, because, you know, the Inquisitors don't have to, you know, report to anyone, but it's like, was this something they just did on their own, or did, like, the High Lords of Terra, like, know that this was happening? You know, I want to say, like, did they just go rogue and do this, like, on their own, or was this, like, officially sanctioned by, like, the High Lords of Terra, like, hey, this is what we're going to do, just to give you a heads up? I mean, it kind of, like, I don't know, kind of makes it a little bit more harder to, you know, explain, like, all right, if, you know, the High Lords of Terra did know this was going to happen and they sanctioned it, yeah, that's pretty bad. If, you know, the Inquisitors were just like, yep, we're going to do this, you know, anyways, we're not going to tell them, kind of makes the Imperium, like, not as bad, because it's like, we didn't know this was going to be happening. So, you know, it kind of, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Literally just dooming an
But either way,
untouched one. Overall,
pretty
an
messed up.
incredible loss of life and resources in a pretty brutal way for next to no gain. In my opinion, the Imperium's worst atrocity, especially when you consider the amount of sexual violence involved in a Gene Stealer infestation. The Elder aren't huge on genocide or blowing planets up, but they are manipulative little shits that would rather watch an entire human world burn than let one Elder die. So it's probably no surprise that the rise of Gazkul, the greatest orc to live in over 10,000 years, and a dude who has caused the death of billions of humans, as well as making orcs once again a galactic threat, only exists because of the Elder wanting to save a few thousand of their own kind. Thus, the creation of Gazkul was the Elder's greatest atrocity. See, Eldrad had foreseen that the orcs were going to attack the Elder and kill thousands. However, if the Elder manipulated events so that Gazkul would rise to become a war boss, he would instead direct the orcs to Armageddon to kick off those big-ass wars with the humans. So the Elder did that as they are selfish bastards. Gazkul has caused the death of a shitload of people, deaths that could have been avoided if the Elder just copped a few thousand of their own lives. Thus, any atrocity that Gazkul commits is actually committed by the Elder due to their own selfishness. Now you could argue that the Elder's galactic blood orgy which birthed Slanesh was actually their worst atrocity, since Slanesh is the literal god of rape, and rape is bad.
Yeah, that's
However,
true.
that was more so the Elder being a bunch of retards than actively attempting to create a rape god. You gotta remember that intention has a big part in an atrocity. If you just wanted to have a hectic drug-fueled orgy, but then you birthed the Chaos God as an accidental side effect, then it's not really an atrocity. The Tau aren't really known for their war crimes and atrocities. They are pretty sensible
the
and
Tau
don't really
is
see the
number
point
3.
in blowing up
4.
worlds and genociding races. They have gotten a bit more
was
brutal
wrong.
and sinister as of late, but their policy of diplomacy first, war second is still in effect. However, that doesn't mean they haven't done some bad shit. During the Tau's attempt at warp travel, they didn't realize that you needed a Gellerfield, hence they jumped into the warp without one, and all the human crew on board the ship died instantly. However, the Tau's dim souls went unnoticed by the warp creatures, hence they were able to survive. However, due to their horror, a Tau-like warp god appeared to them and saved them, bringing them back to real space. They were horrified as this Tau god was an abomination. It was the manifestation of the greater good. However, the greater good wasn't supposed to be a religion or have a god. It was a way of life, a philosophy. To see it corrupted like this as a result of the belief of human auxiliaries within the Tau Empire was abhorrent. Hence, these Tau that survived became extremely hostile to humans within the Tau Empire. Now onto the Atrocity. During a battle, as these Tau arrived to reinforce some human auxiliaries and Kroot, the Tau turned on their allies and betrayed them, brutally massacring both the humans and the Kroot. As we know, the Kroot are pretty terrifying, but overall are massive.
Even the Kroot?
Steadfast, honorable, and loyal. So yeah, sure, kill the humans, but leave the Kroot out of this. The scene is from the perspective of one of the humans as his reaction of relief turns to horror as the Tau butcher his friends and comrades, relishing in slaughter.
Oh look, here comes help.
Blasted apart by a battlesuit as the Tau pilot says he must be purged. While this wasn't a widespread world-ending genocide, it still involved betrayal, genocide, extreme violence, and a massacre, all because of a couple Tau that was super angry. This was as much of an atrocity as the Tau are capable of. Everything the Dark Elder do is an atrocity, so it's pretty difficult to choose what is the worst. They don't really have the firepower or desire to blow up worlds or genocide people, so their atrocities are pretty small scale. However, the pain they do inflict is immense. I would have to say that their first meeting with the Tau was their greatest atrocity. Basically, the naive Tau saw the Elder and were like, yo, can we hire you to help us kill Tyranids? And the Dark Elder were like, sure, but that'll cost you a bunch of Tau.
And they gave them
a cultural exchange.
Yep.
The Tau agreed, and the two forces fought against the Tyranids and won. However, the Tau realized that the new warriors the Dark Elder were using against the Nids were actually the fused flesh of the still living Tau that had been handed over, still lucid and in incredible agony. The Tau were horrified. They had just handed over their own people for them to then suffer a fate worse than death. The Tau tried to fight the Dark Elder in revenge, but the Elder simply avoided them, went to an undefended Tau world, kidnapped its population, and then raped them all to death. So yeah, that was pretty fucking bad. The motive behind all of this wasn't even that justifiable. It was literally all for a laugh. To make matters worse, the Tau then attacked Craftworld Elder, not being able to tell the difference between the two types, causing a violent war between the Tau and the Craftworlders that was really only due to the Dark Elder's atrocity. Overall, a mega dick move that ended up being quite devastating. Some people argue that the Orcs can't commit atrocities because they aren't malicious creatures, but that is some serious bullshit. Orcs are often very malicious and know that they are causing pain and suffering. There are scenes of Orcs pulling people limb from limb in front of their families for a laugh, smiling sadistically as they do so. However, I'll need to answer the Orcs atrocity question a bit differently, and say that the worst atrocity the Orcs commit is whenever they take prisoners. Orcs treat their prisoners like actual shit 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
They barely feed them, and when they do, it's often their own shit. They work them to death or just randomly beat them to death for fun. It's pretty horrific. Imagine you were taken prisoner by the Orcs and they force you to make ammunition for them. Not only are the work conditions horrific and dangerous, with shit randomly blowing up all the time, but you barely get any food, water, or rest. If you give up or refuse, they don't just shoot you and walk off. They will torture you for hours to make an example of you, ripping off your limbs one by one, cutting you with rusty knives, eating you. Orcs are fucking terrifying and are just as capable to commit atrocities.
Oh yeah, as goofy as they are in play,
especially since they seem to lack all sense of empathy or compassion. I don't even know where to begin with Chaos. They commit atrocities like I commit self-molestation every fucking day. However, the thing about Chaos is that often those atrocities have a purpose, even if that purpose is as simple as praising their patron god and gaining power. They don't often just do it just cause. Even when Talos and his Night Lords skinned a world's populace to death and then brutally massacred all of their astropaths, including the children, it was to fuck with the Imperial's local warp area and sabotage them, not to have a laugh. However, probably the worst thing Chaos has done is Abaddon destroying Cadia and then splitting open the galaxy with the Great Rift. Sure, it had a huge strategic advantage, but it also doomed thousands of worlds to be consumed by raw warp energy, mutating countless trillions of people into abominations as demons devoured their souls. Men, women, children. No one was spared. Many worlds now found themselves cut off from warp travel on Imperium Nihilus, which is a death sentence for mining worlds or worlds where off-world food imports kept them alive. In other cases, worlds were left undefended, easy picking for sadistic Chaos warbands or Dark Eldar raiders. The Great Rift did a lot more than just give Chaos a strategic victory. It caused massive amounts of suffering, pain, and death on a scale never before seen, not to mention the millions of ships traveling the warp when the rift opened. Most of those ships would have been overrun with demons or lost forever without the Astronomicon to guide them. The Great Rift was easily the most damaging widespread atrocity Chaos has ever committed. How about the Necrons?
Just imagine flying
they have done some
around
bad shit, but nothing they have done in the current setting,
all of a sudden
whether
you're
that be
invaded by
harvesting
demons.
entire world's populations or unleashing flayed ones upon their foes, holds a candle to the atrocity that is the war in heaven. 60 million years ago, the Necrons fought against and genocided many races. Their war against the old ones corrupted the warp and created the realms of chaos. Their war also forced the old ones to create the orcs, and then the subsequent destruction of the old ones meant no one was around that could have gotten rid of the orcs or
Necrons are the last
the warp.
one.
It also left the Eldar without their mentors, which resulted in them murder fucking Slaanesh into existence. Hence you could argue that the Necrons are directly responsible for the Orcs, Chaos, Slaanesh, and you could also argue the Tyranids, since the Tyranids only came to the Milky Way due to the Horus Heresy, which only occurred due to Chaos. So pretty much every atrocity ever committed can be traced back to the Necrons, since if the old ones were never challenged or destroyed, they would have led an enlightened, peaceful galaxy. I guess I should also start mentioning the Leagues of Votann in this list, since they are a faction. We don't have a crazy amount of lore on these boys yet, and they aren't particularly sadistic or evil. However, they have allowed innocent worlds to be consumed by Nids so that they can harvest its minerals afterwards, and you can bet your ass they have mined populated worlds into nothing, dooming its populace. But nothing I've seen yet has been too spicy. And finally, the Tyranids. The Nid's constant consumption of worlds is pretty fucking bad, but is the lion eating the gazelle an atrocity, or just the lion following its instincts and being hungry? Sure, the scale is a lot bigger, but it's the same philosophy. With that logic, I would have to say that the Nid's worst atrocity was the devastation of Baal, as they attacked the Blood Angels not out of hunger or instinct, but pure malice and anger for the Blood Angels whooping their ass in the past. The Hive Mind knew it would lose more biomass than it would gain, but it didn't care. It wanted vengeance. So even though they actually lost the war and were repelled, the millions of people and thousands of Space Marines that were killed was a huge atrocity, as the intentions of the Nids was to cause death, pain, and suffering. Also, if the Nids won, they would have made it to the corpse of Sanguinius and then eaten it, and that would have been the most atrocious thing in the entire setting. If you enjoy the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Cyber Dynasty models. Only around for another 48 hours and then go for good. Cool. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more atrocious content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll...
Okay, so I was wrong. I only got one of them right. Even the last one there, even though it does say Necrons, it was combined with a couple others. But hey, I was right. Imperium, 1 out of 3. Yeah, damn, that is... wow, those are pretty messed up, especially the Imperium one. I mean, all of them were pretty messed up. I didn't know that about the Eldar. And, you know, basically kind of creating, was it Gazgul? Yeah, the Tau, just turning on their own allies. Even the crew, which is kind of like, wow. Even attacking the crew, that is pretty messed up. Dark Eldar, yeah, what they did with Tau, because I was watching another video, or I did another video, and they were talking about, you know, the cultural exchange and stuff like that with the Tau, and oh yeah, we'll help you, and you know, you can send, you know, like a bunch of like ethereals and stuff like that. But I don't think they sent the ethereals and stuff, but I think they still gave them some Tau, and yeah, surprise. It's what happens when you make a deal with the Dark Eldar, you know. Yes, that one's pretty brutal. The Orcs one, you know, kind of is what it is. Yeah, they might be goofy and, you know, oh, so silly and stuff like that, and blows himself up. Yeah, they'd still be, yeah, pretty damn brutal. Chaos, yeah, the destruction of Cadia, you know, causing the Great Rift and stuff like that. Yeah, that is pretty messed up. Necrons, didn't even think about that. The War in Heavens, yeah. You know, creating Eldar and the Orcs and stuff like that. And if the Eldar weren't created, you know, they wouldn't have done what they would done, and Slanesh would have never happened and stuff, and like a whole chain link, chain of events basically. These guys don't really know much about them at all. But yeah, pretty messed up. And then Tyranids, I didn't know about that. About the devastation of Baal. Just them, Tyranids just basically wanting revenge, not just going there just to eat, but like, damn, you kicked our asses, we want payback and stuff. I'm definitely going to have to learn more about the devastation of Baal, because I did watch the, what was it, the first Tyrannic War, and the Battle of Macragge and stuff like that, and that was very interesting. That was very cool. Just seeing the first arrival of of the Tyranids and stuff like that, and seeing, going out and investigating and seeing like, this planet that was teeming with life is now just a dry husk and stuff like that. And then they went to that outpost and stuff like that, and they had a little bit of warning but not enough. They held them off as long as they could, but it wasn't enough. And then once they went to Ultramar and stuff like that with enough warning, they had much better time to prepare and get ships into orbit and stuff like that, and any and all ships nearby went there. And even if you were just a trading ship, well, here's some guns, you're now a battle cruiser, starfighter, whatever, fall in line with the rest. And just seeing how smart the Tyranids and stuff in the hive mind is, like, hey, there's Manius Calgar. If we take him out, that'll be a good, a huge blow to them and stuff like that, to the Ultramarines and Defenders and stuff. But yeah, I definitely want to find a good video about the devastation of Baal, because I would like to see how that battle went and what happened there. If you guys have a good video on the devastation of Baal, let me know, because I'd love to check it out and hear more about that. Plus the what is it, the Xenosides, the Rangdan Xenosides, something I just keep hearing about, but I haven't found anything about it yet. Apparently whatever it is pretty devastating. But yeah, if you guys know of any good videos about the devastation of Baal and the Rangdan stuff, let me know, because I'd love to do a video on both those and find out and learn more about them. But yeah, so there we go. There are the most heinous atrocities committed by each faction. Let me know, which one did you think was the worst? Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. That'd be awesome. Remember, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media. Links in the description box below. And of course, leave me all your thoughts and comments down below. And other than that, just stick around. More videos are on the way. And I will see you guys next time.